This film uses a synthetic voice in a dramatized first-person reconstruction. The words are based on Einstein's surviving Zurich Notebook and historical scholarship. They are not an archival recording.
My search begins in August of 1912. I returned to Zurich carrying a problem that had resisted me for years. Special relativity described inertial motion. Gravity demanded more. I needed laws that would keep their physical meaning even when the coordinates themselves were changed. The path began in 1905 with special relativity. By 1907, the equivalence of gravity and acceleration had opened a door. Minkowski then showed that space and time could be organized as one four-dimensional geometry. In 1912, I had to learn how to use that language for gravitation. This small brown notebook records part of that search. It has no single front. One cover was later labeled as Notes on Relativity. Turn the book over, and the other cover carries the word relativity in my own hand. I wrote inward from both covers. The two streams of calculations eventually met near the middle. That physical fact matters. This is not a textbook arranged after success. It is a working space in which different problems start and revisions coexist. Inside one cover are recreational puzzles, railway cars, geometric pieces, and a famous false dissection. The page documents that I drew them. It does not tell us why. We should not turn an unanswered question into a historical fact. The dissection appears to turn a square of area 64 into a rectangle of area 65. But the long diagonal is not a single straight line. One piece has slope 2/5. The other has slope 3/8. Those slopes differ, leaving a thin hidden gap whose total area is exactly 1. The facing page changes register completely. At its top, I write X, Y, Z, and a fourth coordinate. The fourth is the product of the imaginary unit, the speed of light and time. Beneath them, I write the same coordinates as X1, X2, X3, and X4. Begin with one physical event. A flash occurs somewhere and sometime. 3 rulers located in space, giving X, Y, and Z. A clock supplies T. Without the clock, 2 flashes at the same place, but at different moments would receive the same coordinates. There is a unit problem. The first 3 coordinates are lengths, while time is measured in seconds. Multiplying time by the universal speed, c, converts it into a length. A duration, t, becomes the distance light travels during that duration, c times t. On this page, I use the historical convention x4 equals ICT, because I squared equals -1, squaring the fourth coordinate produces minus c squared t squared. The imaginary symbol is bookkeeping for the geometry's sign. It does not mean that time physically oscillates or rotates. Now compare 2 nearby events. Add the squared changes of the 4 historical coordinates. The result is delta x squared plus delta y squared plus delta z squared plus the square of IC delta t, because I squared equals -1. The expression becomes the spacetime interval. For a pulse of light moving from the first event to the second, the spatial distance is c delta t. Therefore, the spatial distance squared minus c squared delta t squared is 0. Every inertial observer must obtain 0, because every inertial observer measures the same speed of light. But let us prove the stronger statement. Suppose a second observer moves at speed v along x. The Lorentz transformation gives delta x prime as gamma times delta x minus v delta t. It gives delta t prime as gamma times delta t minus v delta x divided by c squared. Gamma is 1 divided by the square root of 1 minus v squared over c squared. Substitute these expressions into delta x prime squared minus c squared, delta t prime squared. First expand both squares. The mixed terms are minus 2v delta x, delta t from the first square, and plus 2v delta x, delta t from the second. The mixed terms cancel. The remaining expression contains gamma squared times 1 minus v squared over c squared. But gamma squared is the reciprocal of that factor. Their product is 1. We recover delta x squared minus c squared delta t squared. The y and z coordinates do not change for this boost, so their squares can simply be added. Every observer assigns different coordinates to the events, yet computes the same interval. A quantity unchanged by the coordinate transformation is a scalar. The next object on the page is a 4-vector. It is not merely any list of 4 numbers. Its 4 components must transform together by the same Lorentz rule as the spacetime coordinate. In symbols, a prime mu equals lambda mu nu times a nu. Lambda is the Lorentz transformation matrix. The list changes. The geometric object does not. Take 2 4-vectors, A and B, multiply corresponding components, and add them. In my historical ICT convention, this means A1B1 plus A2B2 plus A3B3 plus A4B4. The result is a scalar. The contraction removes the coordinate-dependent directions and leaves an invariant number. Farther down the page, I turn to an object then called a 6-vector. In modern language, it is an antisymmetric rank 2 tensor. Antisymmetric means that exchanging its 2 indices reverses the sign. F mu nu equals minus F nu mu. Write its components as a 4 by 4 table. Antisymmetry forces the 4 diagonal entries to 0. Every entry above the diagonal determines a matching entry below it with the opposite sign. From 16 entries, only 6 can be chosen independently. Those 6 independent slots are exactly enough for the 3 components of the electric field and the 3 components of the magnetic field. What looked like 2 separate 3-dimensional fields can be organized as one 4-dimensional electromagnetic field tensor. Different inertial observers may divide that tensor into electric and magnetic parts differently. They also divide spacetime into space and time differently. In symbols, F prime mu nu equals lambda mu alpha times lambda nu beta times F alpha beta. One Lorentz factor acts on each index, so a rank 2 tensor requires 2 factors. The components change, yet the tensorial equation represents one physical field. This is the discipline I need. Change the coordinates without changing the law. The notation on page 32 right now has a clear purpose. Scalars preserve a number. 4 vectors preserve a directed space-time object. Tensors preserve a multilinear physical relation, while their components respond systematically to a coordinate change. This language succeeds for inertial frames in flat space-time. Gravity raises the next question. What happens when the useful coordinate grid is accelerated, distorted, or curved? One fixed global Minkowski expression is no longer enough everywhere. That is where the next stage begins. I will need a local rule for measuring intervals on a changing grid. I will also need a mathematical object that carries that rule from point to point. On the next pages, that object will become the metric tensor.